Hello everyone, my name is Mason Cook, and today I'm reviewing the Extendables Capstone project. So, let's get into it. Our first issue is, as the player, I want to be able to push small physics objects around so that I can normally move throughout a level without tripping over small objects. So here we have these little saw blades here. Didn't even see that. Essentially, when I walk around, I can push them. And our first completion criteria is wild. Camera shake should not occur when stepping near small physics objects, since that can cause issues with the collision normally. But thankfully, we got that ironed out. If I walk near them, it just pushes them around. If I jump on them, it pushes them. So meets the completion criteria. But the second one is small physics objects should be able to be pushed around by the player via movement, and that's exactly what we can do. Just push it around wherever I walk. Works perfectly fine. And that issue is done for. Now, on to issue 2. As the player, I want to be able to shoot my weapon using its alternate firing mode so that I can be more effective in combat. First off, let me get the HEV suit. There we go. So, for this story, we have alt fires, and for this one specifically, it's for the SMG and shotgun. So, here is the SMG one. Fires a short-range grenade, and this is the shotgun one. Fires 2 shots at once in a greater spread than usual. And the completion criteria is on input activate alt mode, and when I press right click, it fires it. I'm using the shotgun because it has more ammo than the SMG alt fire. The weapon must have spare ammo in reserve. Yeah, like, if you try to fire it. Yeah, like all the other weapons, it uses the same code. You can't fire it unless you have ammo in the mag, and you have enough bullets in there. So then we have SMG will fire a grenade that explodes on impact, dealing damage in a radius. So I'll pull out the SMG here and fire a grenade at this zombie. And there we go. It deals damage in an explosion around it. And also, if I shoot at a bunch of explosive barrels, boom, they will all explode. So that one's taken care of. On to the next completion criteria. Shotgun will fire 2 shots, dealing extra damage at the cost of shorter range and greater spread. So you can see this is what the normal shot looks like, and here's what the alt fire looks like. So you can see a lot more bullets right there. And that's it for the alt fire issue. That is taken care of and done. And here we go. We have, as the player, I want to have a rapid fire, close range weapon that deals a high amount of damage as an alt fire explosive, so that I can combat more difficult enemies and progress the level. And that would be the SMG. You just saw the grenade go off. I'm out of ammo, so you can see fire, range weapon. If you look, like, so it's more suited to close range, to maybe medium range, like this. And the completion criteria is shoots weapon on player input. Press the mouse button, the left mouse button, and I shoot it. And the second one is registers hit on enemies and objects. You can see here, he takes damage from it, and it kills him. And then we have deals damage when shooting enemies. You just saw that. Like the enemies register hits as well. And then activates alt fire, firing a grenade. You just saw that. Let me go over here and see if it refills. Yeah, you saw me using the grenade earlier in the alt fire issue, so that's taken care of. So, that issue is done, and on to the next one. We have, as a player, I want to encounter force fields that allow enemies to pass through, but not me, so that enemies can go through can enter the area where I cannot go. So let me go over here and get an enemy to follow me, so I can demonstrate the force field. Let me let this enemy follow me all the way, so I can demonstrate that they can walk through the force field, but not me. Like, look, as I try to walk through it, it does not work. Well, look, they can walk through it just fine. Look at that. They passed right through it. And it also allows bullets to pass through. So you see, I still can make bullet holes in there because the line trace still hits right there. And, you could also allow physics objects to go through. So if I switch to the gravity gun, okay, that one's a bad example. Switch to this one, and watch. They can just pass right through with no issues. So, that is all the completion criteria, and that issue is done. Let me kill this guy. There we go. On to the next one. As the player, I want to have a slow-firing, high-damage weapon that can be used at long range or close range, but have the weapon's accuracy greatly decrease the more frequently it's fired, so that I can fight enemies at longer ranges. That would be the revolver. And you can see, like, I'll show you how good it is at taking care of enemies. You can see a little bit of recoil there, so... Okay, so let me shoot at this guy. Shoot at him from quite a long range. You can see me dropping them from quite a distance away. And it says, shoots weapon on player input. You heard me clicking it. Clicking my left mouse button, like the other weapons. Registers hits on enemies and objects. And I kill them. So that's a hit, and then deals damage to shooting enemies. It does. It also has the recoil, like, difficulty of tracking targets because of the intense recoil mentioned in the story, so that's good too. So that issue is done. And on to the last one. We have, as the player, I want to have a slow-firing, high-damage, close-range weapon that also has an alt-fire double shot that has less range but more spread, so that I can deal with multiple enemies at close range. So here we have the shotgun. Saw me using this earlier. So the first one is shoots weapon on player input. Yeah, just like the other ones. You fire, it shoots. It fires multiple shots, like it's in a spread. Registers hits on enemies and objects. You saw me kill him. And then you have deals damage or shooting enemies. Again, I don't think this one's pretty obvious. You deal damage when hitting them. Activates alt fire mode, shooting 2 shots at once with a wider spread and less range. You see me shooting with the double shot. You see 2 shots consumed, and it's a wider spread than usual. Just compare those two. And it reloads 1 shell at a time until completed. You saw me do that, but let me shoot 2 more shots to show you. So we got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and it reloads 1 at a time. Once again, you see it go down and then go back up. 1, 2. Works perfectly. So, that is done for those issues. And now, I will be handing it off to Noah, who's going to present his issues. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jonathan Span, and this is GDP Milestone 2. This is my sprint review. I'm going to go ahead and launch this executable, and get started. I do apologize if my recording is a little laggy, as my computer does have a hard time recording and playing the game at the same time. So bear with me. It will be hard to watch. Okay, so the first issue we're going to get into today is BGXD101, and it is as a player I want the suit recharger to stop charging so that I can decide when to stop charging my armor. So to demonstrate that, we're going to grab this armor. We're going to go over to the health station, take some damage. We're going to get close to 0. I think it's going to probably end up at like 3. Yeah, 3. And then right here. And if we want it to stop charging, we can have it stop charging. Completion criteria is suit armor value should stop increasing when the player stops interacting. So we are interacting right now. And then we are not interacting. And then sound should stop playing when the player stops interacting. So sound is playing, and sound stops playing. The second issue we're going to get into is BGXD17, and it is as a player I want to have a rapid fire pulse rifle so that I can shoot enemies. Go ahead and take that out and rapid fire. And then we can shoot this enemy right here. And then completion criteria is shoots weapon on player input in the direction of the crosshair. So, right there. And then can kill enemies. We'll go ahead, even though you just saw it, we'll go ahead and show that again right here. Okay. Oh, one more. Alright. So then the third issue we're going to get into is as a player I want to be able to disconnect cables that power force field walls so that I can go through them. So force field wall, cannot go through it. We disconnect this guy. Drop him on the ground. We can't go through it. Completion criteria is plug is able to be manipulated with the gravity gun. Pick it up. Move it around. And then we can even plug it back in if we want to. And then force field disappears when the plug is removed from the outlet. So just to get a good view of that, we'll have the force field and the plug in the same viewport, and we'll disconnect. And there you go. We're actually going to need that disconnected. And then that satisfies that issue. So we'll move on to number 4, which is as a player, I want my pulse rifle to have an alternative firing mode so I can shoot a projectile. So we'll go ahead and showcase that here. Pulse rifle on the bottom right. Oh, I'm so sorry. Hold on. Let me go ahead and get rid of that. Apologies for that. So in the bottom right, we have the alt firing mode, and you can see that it has 3 bullets. So if we fire it, right here, boop, is out of the map. Well, it ricochets around, and its lifespan's like 5 seconds, but it's not important. We'll go ahead and open this gate because I get to show that it shoots on player input and that it ricochets off objects and enemies. So we're gonna go ahead and try to do that over here. So objects, for example, right there, and then let's try to get this guy to drop some enemies for us that we can shoot. Yeah, here we go. Okay, so enemies, and he moved. Oh no. Okay, we're gonna have to restart then. My apologies for having to do this. I was trying to keep it pretty linear so that way it would be faster on your end. But we'll try to just run through this real quick. Sorry, it is so hard for me to aim right now because it's laggy. Okay, we'll go around here. See, this guy can drop some more enemies on us. Right on us. Oh wow. Okay. Yeah, ricochets off them as well. Okay, and then the next issue is going to be as a player, I want to have long-range explosive weapons that I can destroy enemy vehicles, which comes in handy right here. Can destroy enemy vehicles. Okay, so since we only have one bullet left, and I don't want to restart the game for you again, shoots weapon on player input. Okay, well we just saw deals damage when shooting enemies and vehicles. We do need enemies. Fired rocket follows a laser. Player aims. Maybe we'll just have to restart it probably. Shoots weapon on player input. And fired rocket follows a laser that player aims. We can knock out in one go. So if you see, this is a laser right here. It's just always in the middle of the crosshair. So if we fire and we turn, it'll follow that laser. So for example, like that. Now to show you that it does indeed, yeah, no, those pickups don't work anymore. To show you that it does do damage to enemies, we're gonna have to restart again. My apologies, I should have kept this in mind whenever I was thinking about this video. We'll aim this on this guy right here. Boom. Alright, it does damage to them. So that should satisfy that RPG. And just so that we can cover that one again, or the shoots weapon on player input. On input, shoots. The only reason I did it right there, or did that right there, is because there's a collision volume and somebody set it up, the collision, to where the projectile does not go through it, and I'm not sure why, but here we go. Let's go ahead and kill these guys. And this is very laggy, I know, I'm so sorry about that. Okay, so then we have our sixth issue, which is going to be BGXD 115. As a player, I want there to be a volume of water so that I can swim. We're going to go ahead and do that. So we can swim right here. Completion criteria is going to be water damages the player when their suit runs out of power. And water drains auxiliary power when the player is underwater, so you can see that happening right now, and then once it gets to 0, it will start hurting the player. Right there, you can see, and player movement changes, so as we can see, we can go down and we can go up in the water. I know it's hard to see because it's the frames, just so laggy right now, but player movement is slowed as well. And then we're going to do BGXD 109. Once we can get out of this water. That's a lot of water. As a player, I want a way to disable electrified fences so that I can gain access to the night area. So if we look at this fence, it is electrified. I'm not going to do that again because I'm about to die. But it is electrified. But if we turn this switch off, we can see that it is going to turn off the electric fence. Also, completion criteria is the fence is controlled by a switch, and the player can deactivate the electricity by interacting with the switch via input. So on input, we interact with the switch, and now we can get access to this area. Okay. In order to showcase that better, we're gonna go back into here because I do need to show you that it does turn off the electric part of it. So here's another fence that we can use, and it electrifies us. And then if we use a switch, if we're close enough, and we use the switch, there we go. It will do that, and no longer damages us. Okay. And that wraps up my video. I know it was rough, really laggy, hard for me to aim. I apologize for that. Thank you for sticking through it. And yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and hand it off to Rob, who is next, and thank you for watching.
Hello, my name is Robert Hughes, and I'm part of Team Extendables. I'm going to be I'm going to be showing off what we did for Milestone 2, at least what I did for my individual stuff. One of my issues was to make it so that there are weapon pickups. The user story for that is, as the player, I want to be able to pick up a weapon to replenish ammo, and I can find them lying around the level. It's in the description. Completion criteria for that is, while I have a gun, I cannot pick up any of these guns, and there will be an audio feedback telling me I cannot pick up those guns, as you heard that first pass. Now, if I empty out this SMG a bit, and hit R for reload, now that the SMG has been reloaded and used ammo, if I walk over the SMG, it disappears and replenishes the ammo. Same thing for the shotgun. Once, hit reload, and look at that, now I've used stuff. If I walk over the shotgun, replenishes it. And that applies for the revolver here and the pistol. Now I'm going to show off my APC. The APC is an enemy that can be possessed by the Combine Soldier, and when possessed, will gain sight of the player and start shooting them. When they don't see the player, they will start moving around. As you can see, I'm going to walk here, and now they are active. You see the effect where they are shooting me, and me dodging around to avoid them. Now if I go here, shoot this APC, as you can see it's wandering away from me because it doesn't see me. Shoot it a couple times with shotgun, it explodes. And this APC will do the same thing. It's on a random wander though, because it does not see me. Now I'm dead in front of it. Blew it up. And that is it. I'll pass this on to the next teammate. Alright, hello, my name is Robert Hughes, and this is my Sprint 2 review demonstration video. Let's get started. As a player, I want to encounter toxic water that damages me, so I must find a new method to get across. The toxic water should hurt the player when they are standing in the water, enough damage to make the players look for a new path. And it should be visually different from the water volume. This is the toxic water. Once I hop on it, you hear a audio feedback, and I start taking damage. Now that I'm off it, I will not take damage, but as you can see, it really did do a lot of damage. So if I hop into this vehicle here, I can get over this with ease. And I can even drive all the way back over, and drive on it, no issue. Now, as far as getting to my next task, I do have to go back to the menu and reset, because the area I was in was not able to get back to the other area. Now, I'm going to talk about the vehicle that I showed you I was using for when I was crossing over the toxic water. So, as the player, I want to manipulate a vehicle in the environment to traverse the level or complete the current objective. The vehicle should be player controlled and depossess the player avatar and possess the vehicle via input. As you can see, I'm about to head over here to where there is another boat, and this is the vehicle. So when I press E, I possess the boat, can move around in the boat, and can also look around as I am controlling the boat. Also, no matter where I look around, you do not see the player avatar. That is because it has been depossessed. Also, when I hit E again, I get off the boat and am here at the side of the boat. Another thing is that it has a minimum and maximum speed. As you can see, I'm here at 0, and as soon as I start turning and moving, I actually start having speed. And the longer I hold the forward movement button, the faster I start moving. Also, part of the boat is that it helps you evade enemies, as you can see right here. Now again, I am going to have to reset to show the next task. The next thing I will be showing off is the APC. As an APC, I want to be able to be possessed by a Combine soldier to be driven and shoot. The APC does not move very often, but sometimes will set up on the upper edges of levels to fire down at the player. For this, there is none of them up at high edges, but as you can see over here, those 4 vehicles are the APC. When not possessed, the APC sits still and does not fire at the player. As you can see, since the APC does not see me and is not possessed, it will not fire. Then when it's possessed, it will locate me and fire at the player if they are in range. As you can see, I'm about to hop over here. If I can avoid that. And the APCs should start shooting. Also, I can blow them up. It is a little hectic here with the helicopter. That is Thank you for watching. And now I will be sending it off to the next member of Team Extendables.
Hello, my name is Sal Tomescu. I am a part of the Extendables Capstone team, and today I'm going to be showcasing my issues in our build. So, for this first issue, as a player, I want physics objects to have buoyancy so that the objects can float on water. The criteria for this is that the objects float to the surface when in water, an object is faulted in ascent if blocked by another object, and getting certain things to sink while some float. These boxes over here are floatables. You pick it up, they will, and throw them in the water, assuming that I throw them correctly and I don't just skip them across. Just go ahead and place it in water. Place it in, goes ahead and floats no problem. Go ahead and use this block, place it under the water, right underneath this little platform. If I let go of it, it floats up until it hits the panel, but it will not float to the surface because its ascension is blocked. And another example, now for certain things that sink, if I go back to grab one of these boxes here, pick it up, go over to the water, go ahead and drop this in, it'll sink directly to the bottom. It will not float. That is that criteria met. The next issue is, as the player, I want to have a long-range, single-shot weapon that instantly kills human-sized enemies, but is slow-moving so I can take out enemies with long range. Completion criteria for this is that it shoots weapon on player input, registers hits on objects, deals damage when shooting enemies, reloads slowly. So for this weapon is the crossbow. So it shoots on player input as well as reloads. Registers hits on objects. So when I shot, went ahead and hit this wall. Same if I shoot this door. Go ahead and registers. This vending machine registers, no problem. Deals damage when shooting enemies. I go over to this enemy here and I shoot it. Oop! Goes ahead and instantly kills it. And reloads slowly. Upon shooting it only gets one round, and you have to reload. Reloads fairly slowly. So for my next issue, as a player, I want to have a grenade I can throw at a group of enemies that will explode after a few seconds, so I can clear the way to progress through the world. So the completion criteria is can be aimed before thrown, can destroy objects, and deals damage when exploded near enemies. So on input, you can hear a priming noise that sets the grenade, and when you let go of the input, it throws the grenade. This works in any direction that you look. Prime, throw. Next, I'll showcase that it can damage objects in the world. Prime, throw. Head near it, destroys the objects, no problem. Now I will demonstrate that it can damage enemies. I'll prime it, throw. Take it away. Run. Boom. Explodes. Deals damage to the enemies. That last one. Okay. Thank you very much. These have been my issues.
Hello, my name is Jeffrey Simmons. I'm part of the Expendables Capstone team. This is our Milestone 2 video. Once again, my name is Jeffrey Simmons. The first issue I'm going to be going over with today is issue 108, and it reads, as a player, I want to encounter electrified fences that push me away from my desired path so that they can deny me access to an area. The description is this electric fence should damage the player as well as repel them back a short distance when the player comes into contact with them. And the first part of the completion criteria is the fence makes a shocking sound on player contact. Okay, so let's go here, grab our HUD, and let's run into the electric fence. And as you can see, upon contact, there was a sound. The next completion criteria is that there's a spark. And you can see it does make a spark. Now I'm going to move over to my next area, which I have to use a bow. And I have to take out a few AI will take them out. And while we're at it, go ahead and take this guy out over here. Now we don't have to deal with him later. And we go ahead and pull this plug. And we'll read off the next issue. Then the next issue is, as a player, I want to encounter dams that blocks my path, so that player must explore the area for a control panel. And the description reads, in the level somewhere, there will be an asset that looks like a dam that will block the player's pathway, and the only way to continue is to explore a close by area for a control panel that will move the dam so the player can continue on their way. The first part of the completion criteria is a dam asset in the level that blocks the player's pathway. We see here, this is the dam, and I don't have a way around it. And over here is the button. I also have an issue for the button as well, which is issue 105. As a player, I want to be able to interact with the control panel so that it lowers dams blocking my pathway. We should have a button that the player can press which lowers the corresponding wall. The completion criteria audio feedback when the player interacts via input. We walk over here hitting E. There was audio feedback and the button is lowered. The visual feedback when the button has been successfully interacted with. I see that the button is lowered and the wall for the dam has also been lowered as well. Moving on to my next puzzle. Let's see if we can avoid these guys here. Looks like we was able to sneak right by. Jump over guards. And we're here at my next issue, which is issue 114. As a player, I want it to be a puzzle in which objects will float to the surface to create a pathway so that I may reach my objective. So we should have a puzzle where a room is filled with water and the player can't get across without solving the puzzle. In order to get across, the player should have to break planks to release otherwise blocked objects so that they may rise to the surface, creating a path for the player to get across. The first part of completion criteria is planks are trapping objects under the water. So let's go over here. As you can see, there are planks, and there are indeed trapping objects under the water. And these planks can be removed. Let's see, it's suited, and it breaks. And they will float to the surface. The room contains water, which it does, and the last completion criteria is the player cannot jump up on the ledge from the water. So, as you can see, I cannot get on this ledge from within the water. So, I have to go back and I have to jump across using the boxes that are now floating. Let's grab this health pickup where I'm at it. And let's jump across. As you can see, they bob up and down as the player interacts with the box. And that's all for that issue. Moving on to the next issue, which is 113. As a player, I want it to be a puzzle in which I need to utilize buoyancy so that I can progress past a blockage. We should have a puzzle where the player would need to use an object buoyancy in order to rise a platform, creating a ramp for them to get across over a dam. The completion criteria is the ramp start lowered, and as you can see, there is a ramp object, and it is kind of lowered, and the player can ramp finish raise. With the raise to the ramp, we have to go here, break this spot, and it is raised. And the player can kill the blockage by using the ramp. So let's get on the ramp, and I can clear that blockage. So on the dam button again, we can go over here, and the dam is lowered. Okay, moving on to my next issue. The next issue is, as a gunship, I would like to have bombs that can drop that will blow up after hitting the ground. The description is, as a hunter chopper moves, it will throw out bombs that will hit the ground, then explode and do damage to the player if they are within range. To complete the criteria, the bombs get thrown out of the chopper. Okay, let's move over here to the chopper here. And as we can see, the bombs are being thrown. After the bomb hits the ground, it will explode. As you can see, the bomb hits the ground and explode. The explosion would do damage to the player if it's in range. As you can see, I was just killed by the bombs. So that's the completion for issue 117. And that is all my issues other than the bugs that I fixed for this sprint. Once again, my name is Jeffrey Simmons, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Up next on the extendable team is Benjamin Flagg.
Thanks, Jeff. Hello, everyone. My name is Benjamin Flagg. I am a member of Team The Extendables for this capstone project, and I'm going to walk you through my JIRA issues that I was able to complete during this sprint, Sprint 2. So let's go ahead and get started. So, my first issue is, as the camera, I want to briefly display a hit indicator in the direction of incoming damage to the player. And my first completion criteria is a red trapezoid is displayed correctly depending on the direction of the damage source from the player. So, for this, let's go ahead and just grab this. I'm going to get to these first group of enemies over here. I am going to use this airboat to cross this toxic swamp just so I can get over to them. But as soon as I get there, they will activate. And if I get out, will they start shooting me? Hopefully not too close. There is the damage indicator. It'll stay on screen briefly, showing their direction, and it does stay for a minute. Let's see if I can. Oop, killed myself there. Well, now you can see the damage is still coming in. So that is the player-facing portion. I did have just a test debug spear as well. This would not obviously be included in the player-facing portion, but just to show that it does work. Every time I hit the key, will spawn a spear in a different direction, depending on that incoming damage. So that actually does complete that portion of the completion criteria and my first issue, which was the hit indicators. So we can go ahead and move on to the second issue. Let's see here. So that would be, as the player, I want to be able to engage in combat against Combine soldiers that drop from the Combine dropship, which is actually that ship right there. So that I can interact with the dropship and Combine troops in different varied scenarios. So basically, the first completion criteria I have is create a detachable cable component that can attach and detach from the Combine soldiers. So what I'm actually going to do here, let me use a shortcut that we put in here, just so I can get there a little quicker. Get to this dropship, and as soon as I am within range, it should detect me and drop those ships down on that attached cable actor. Let's see if I can get in the zone. I believe it's over here. Okay, detected me, and there they come down the cable actors. Now we'll drop a couple that are spawned there, which actually goes into my second completion criteria. I might as well mention that now, actually, before they come to me. Okay, I'll go ahead and mention that now too, which is actually the next two. They all kind of relate. So the first one was create a detachable cable component that can attach and detach from the Combine soldiers. Second, implement a timeline or LERP that will transition the Combine troopers from the Hunter Chopper to the ground. And lastly, spawn the Combine troopers when the Hunter Chopper ceases moving at the player's location. So, and there's what happened there. So I didn't kill those troops fast enough. It went and gathered some more, and then is sending them to get. So, if I can get rid of these guys without dying here, and it should go and get some extra soldiers. It'll wander for a minute, and then should come back. Just so I can get ready. This can also be destroyed with 3 rocket hits. So I'm going to fire those 2. And here it comes with the last group. So, rid of these guys. As long as they don't take me first. And, well, let's get rid of this. So that takes care of that. No more drop troopers. And that guy, I don't know why he got launched, but there he goes. So that actually finishes my completion criteria for that portion. So we can actually move on to the last portion, which I am going to actually go back to that shortcut real quick. So my last one, well here, I'll actually get to the shortcut first. So I'm not reading too early. So down here, we have placed an extra actual boat just for demonstration purposes. There's an extra airboat down here. So my final Jira issue that I completed was, as the player, I want to be able to combat the enemy while inside a vehicle. And my collision criteria, the first one is the player can shoot while in a vehicle. So if I hop down here to the airboat that Rob created, and inside of it, it basically will start out unarmed, just drives around like normal. However, I added these gun equip stations, so once you drive over this, it'll just show you that the gun is now being equipped. And as the criteria said, as the player can shoot while in a vehicle. Press the left mouse button, or whichever controller is the primary fire, I should say, not left mouse button, and it will fire a gun. Pretty loud, obnoxious sound, but it is a heavy machine gun. And then my second completion criteria is the player can aim a weapon while in a vehicle. So you can still drive around. You can actually aim the gun, which will rotate with the camera, and fire in that direction. It will leave decals as well, just to show that it is doing damage. And you can also drive around while aiming the gun in separate directions. It does damage enemy troops as well, like helicopter. Not a helicopter anymore. APCs, same thing. No longer exist when they have a machine gun. Crates, nothing is spared for troops. Now let's see if I can get to the end. As well, just to see. And successfully made it to the end. So that completes that final completion criteria. Hopefully you found that entertaining and interesting. Thank you for your time, and I would actually like to go ahead and introduce the next member of our team to show off his portion of the project, Brendan Flanagan. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Brendan Flanagan, and I am here to demonstrate some finished tasks for the second sprint. I'm going to start with the simple ones and then move on into the combat ones. So I'll start with BGXD-141. This is, as a player, I want doors that act as gates, valves, and regular doors so that I can be blocked, locked, or pass through doors inside levels. The completion criteria starts off that doors close behind players when they're marked as valves, such as these doors here. They'll be able to close behind me. And that door, the second completion criteria is that doors ignore input when they are marked as a gate or a valve, and there's that, ignoring input. The third completion criteria is that doors open and close on player interact when they are not marked as a valve or gate, so that is this door here, opens and closes. And for the last completion criteria to be demonstrated, I'm just going to have to fly over here real quick. So the last completion criteria for my doors is that a door opens via a remote interact when marked as a gate. Now remember that they also ignore input as a gate, so that's what these are. This also allows me to segue into my next task, which is BGXD-142. As a player, I want to interact with the levers in the world that activate things that I cannot otherwise interact with so that I can achieve success events. The completion criteria for the lever is that players can pull the lever on interact and that the event in the world is triggered by the lever pull. So that finishes the completion criteria for the door and also the levers in one swing. I'll be right back to do some combat events. Alright, back for part 2 of my video, going to show off some combat elements. For VGXD-44, I have, as a Combine Soldier, I want to be able to see the player from a distance and engage with whatever weapon I have available. So, here we have Combine Soldier coming at me and shooting at me with his assault rifle. The completion criteria is that the soldiers move toward the player and hold their position once their weapons are in range. So, he's got the biggest range, this guy's got shorter range, so he needs to come up closer. The second completion criteria is that the soldiers drop ammo or health pickups for the player. We got a health pickup and some ammo there. More soldiers. He had a shotgun, which is why he needed to get so close to me. And this guy's got a pistol. And he killed me. Well, at least that means that it works, right? So I could use this opportunity to actually use the shortcut here and go on to my next task, since those soldiers are working pretty well. So here I'm going to try and not get killed by my hunter chopper, since it wants to be able to keep up with the player while they are in a vehicle, so it can drop ordnance as the player is trying to escape. The completion criteria for this is that the hunter chopper travels ahead of the player in their predicted path. The chopper will shoot at the player while it is moving, and then the chopper drops bombs in the path of the player. So here we can see he goes ahead of me, drops his bomb, and it blows up. And I think it's killed me. Let's see if I can get to the end. Oh, it killed the vehicle. Yeah, I made it. Okay, thanks for watching.